This video is going to be all about what is arguably the most important macromolecule for life, and it is known as nucleic acid. First of all, what does that name even mean? Well, scientists discovered and originally observed these acids in the nucleus of cells, which forms the nucleic part of the word. The acid section is due to the macromolecule having some acidic properties. Perhaps the most famous and well-known nucleic acid is deoxyribonucleic acid, also known as DNA. While this is one of the most intriguing and complex concepts in all of biology, many of you may already know that DNA is the molecule that stores our hereditary information. This, to a very large degree, is what makes you, you. Just like carbohydrates, proteins, and lipids, nucleic acids are another of the fundamental macromolecules that are extremely abundant in biological systems. Just to get a sense of what makes DNA and many other nucleic acids, we can see the double helix that forms a seemingly infinite spiral pattern. This double helix is not found in every nucleic acid, however. Another common nucleic acid, known as ribonucleic acid, or RNA, only has a singular helix that makes an individual spiraling pattern. Going back to the DNA, we can see that in between the double helix are hundreds of millions of rungs to this ladder. When we think of chromosomes, which is another common term when we talk about heredity, we realize that chromosomes are primarily made of extremely long DNA chains that are twisted and scrambled inside the nucleus of every cell. Going back to our molecular relationship that we addressed in previous videos, another thing to appreciate about nucleic acids is that they are the polymers, meaning that they are made of building block molecules, which are nucleotides. These are the constituents of every single nucleic acid, such as DNA and RNA. Here we can see some examples of nucleotides. This is deoxyadenosine monophosphate. It's quite a mouthful, and you don't need to know exactly what this means, but you might be able to realize that this nucleotide is often found in DNA. Even within the nucleotide, there are several groups within the molecule itself. We have a phosphate group on the far left, which is colored in a distinct red and yellow. Then in the middle, we have a 5-carbon sugar, which in this case is ribose. And then finally on the left, we have what is known as a nitrogenous base. The reason it's called nitrogenous is because the blue atoms represented in the image are nitrogens. And the grays, as we went over before, are carbons, while the whites are hydrogens, the reds are oxygens, and the yellow is phosphorus. So with this in mind, we can infer that the nitrogenous base is going to have some basic characteristics, while the phosphate group on the left is going to have more acidic characteristics. If you don't understand what exactly basic and acidic mean, you don't have to worry, because a pH scale video is on the way. So when these nucleotides are stacked on top of each other to form the rungs of the DNA, the ribose phosphates alternate along the ladder-like formation to form the backbone of this DNA molecule. We can visually see the process, as the alternating ribose and phosphate sections bundle together at the ends of each rung, forming the helixes of the nucleic acid. In the middle of all of this are the nitrogenous bases that form significant parts of the rungs of the ladder. So the way that DNA stores information is that every one of these nitrogenous bases, which under these circumstances is adenine, has a complementary nitrogenous base on the other end of it to meet in the middle and bond to connect the two halves of the rung, which completes each rung of the ladder. So with adenine, the complementary base is going to be thymine in DNA. Later on, we'll see that in other nucleic acids, such as RNA, the complementary base to adenine would be different, as it would be uracil, and the fact that guanine matches with cytosine. You do not need to worry about all these names and relations, as comprehension and understanding of these and more will come with time and further explanations in future videos. But for the sake of this video, just appreciate that the monomer for these immense and complex nucleic acids are nucleotides. To be clear, deoxyadenosine monophosphate is not the only monomer that makes up nucleic acids. In RNA, The analogous nucleotides that make up the nucleic acid would be adenosine monophosphate, shown here. We can see the difference between the two nucleotides, which is that the adenosine monophosphate has an extra oxygen atom in its ribose group, while the deoxyribonucleic monophosphate does not. This is what makes the prefix deoxy, as you're missing one of the oxygens on your 5-carbon sugar. On top of that, adenine is also not the only nitrogenous base, as you may have inferred when I was talking about the complementary bases. You can have a nucleotide in which the nitrogenous base is thymine. Once again, this nucleotide, which is deoxythymidine monophosphate, looks very similar to the previous ones, but the base looks very different in structural form and also now has oxygen atoms. Even in cytidine monophosphate, the relationship continues. We still have our phosphate and 5-carbon sugar groups, but it is the varying nitrogenous base that changes the entire nucleotide. It is actually this abstract order of different nucleotides that allows DNA to encode information. You might still have the question that if the nucleotides also have basic characteristics in their nitrogenous bases as well, why is the nucleic acid considered an acid? To answer this question, we must look back at the formation of the nucleic acid. The phosphate and ribose groups are the mainly acidic parts of the nucleotide and arrange on the outer edges of the molecule to form the helixes. The basic nitrogenous bases are stuck in the middle of the molecule, forming the rungs. This means that the acidic groups of the nucleotides have a better chance of reacting with external forces and environments. As a result, the nucleic acid as a whole is considered to be an acid. I'm going to leave you there for now. In the near future, we're going to go into a lot more depth in the variety of relations that occur and the importance of nucleic acids. To put into perspective just how amazing these molecules are, many scientists theorize that the first signs of life were nothing more than just self-replicating chains of RNA molecules that eventually got encapsulated by a membrane, which eventually sparked the process for the creation of genetic machinery of cells. So this is why nucleic acids are sometimes recognized as being the most important macromolecules to life, and will especially be addressed in our unit of cells, which will be coming very soon. But for now, I thank you all for watching.